Happy Monday after Mother's Day. I hope everybody had a great Mother's Day. I actually had a fantastic Mother's Day. Even so, I'm not a mother. That's why I have all that time doing slideshows for you guys. And I figured, or my mom figured, that she had to get out of the house. So what did we do? We did a great little tour of all the real estate I'm whether involved in, or we obviously didn't quite make it down to La Mesa, but that's what we did, and that's what she wants to do. Just wants to see what is going on in the real estate market. So here we go. This one is going to be the last Monday I'm going to do it this month, because next weekend is my birthday weekend. And then the following one, we have Memorial Day, all right? So again, a lot of stuff has been happening, and we're trying to rethink real estate investing. And maybe real estate is one of the fewer things we don't need to rethink. So just if we have new people on the call, I started out as an investor and then became my own broker, and I specialize in working with investors, as I am an investor myself, as have done fix and flips, buy and hold, out of state, in state, private lending, and you just name it. So if you need any always a little music. All right, we're missing Leo right now, but here we go. I'm sure Mahesh is boozing up already. Just kidding. Okay, so fill your cup with something, because we got quite a turbulent ride today, and I want to get through some of those really interesting bits and pieces I picked up. But remember, I don't charge for this, and I work pretty hard to get all these slides together. Today, actually, I was on the Zoom call this morning, and for the first time, I saw a man in a suit on Zoom. I thought, oh my God, because as we all know, it's not in these meetings how far you have come. It is how long have you not shaven or colored your hair. So, but I think the first Zoom etiquette class already came out, so I'm sure I'm going to take it at some point. But please help me out by even writing something in the chat during the meeting. If just a one-liner would be nice, or you can subscribe to my YouTube channel, Lenska Realty, or obviously on those videos, just click the like button and get your whole family to sign up and like it as well. Feedback is always appreciated. Invite your friends, because seriously, everything you turn on nowadays has a narrative, right? So I try to, if I have narrative, I give you both sides of the narrative, okay? But you know, I wanna also encourage you to watch some of the recordings if you can't make it, and share. Become friends on Facebook, please. You know, I'm easy to find. I'm not really a big person on sending you every day 2 emails, so please do connect even on LinkedIn. And as always, I appreciate your business and your referrals. Obviously, even if I tell you something you don't like. So I want to take a quick poll and see, who do we have on the call? Do we have newbies? Do we have somebody that already has maybe done a flip or have some rentals, or maybe is even very experienced, so I know who I'm talking to? All right, and it always changes from call to call. So we got half. All right, come make up your mind. You need to know if you, and remember, this is what Mark Twain said. He said, to a man with a hammer, everything looks like a nail. So that's what I'm trying to do with these calls, kind of widen your horizon and give you some food for thought, okay? So we have a few more people that are a little bit experienced, let's put it this way. And I'm going to stop that and then move right along, because we have Randy LIPSEY with a WFG National Title Company, and I called him earlier this morning and just wanted to tap his experience to see what he sees going on right now, and maybe what he sees going on into the future, and maybe has one or two tips for us investors. Randy, are you there? All right, I saw him earlier.
Can you hear me?
Oh yeah, here we go.
Can you hear me? All right.
Yes.
So I mean, I've had this conversation a lot during the day. I think I tell everyone, look, I feel like first off, everything should be prefaced with, we really don't know what is happening right now or what the future holds. I think it's because, for one, the economy in general, as you know, things are shut down. I just heard a stat today saying we've had 20 million unemployed nationally right now, and so until we have a process to where the economy starts to open up, I think that's when we'll figure out exactly what the future is holding. But as for right now, I mean, real estate market seems to be holding steady, at least in San Diego.
So how many escrows, or go back 2 months? I would be interested. Was it in the first week you saw everything stalling, late closings, or do you see now a more consistent? Do you see that buyers that obviously buying during this time, do you think they're very motivated?
Yes, yeah. What I've been saying is it's kind of like during the holidays. During the holidays, people who kind of don't have to buy or sell usually will put it off to get through the holidays. But there's always life events happening. People get divorced, people have job changes, people have kids and need a bigger house. Those type of life events are continually happening. So the people that are usually shopping during that time are ready to go. They're ready to pull the trigger. And I think right now is the same kind of, I would compare it to like the holiday season. People who are out there buying, they have to move. They have to pull the trigger. And it's, I had, I would say, I think I had 6 fully executed contracts today, and over, 200 new listings on the market. Can you still hear me?
Yeah. I'm just giving people the information. So if they have questions or need a title company, can get a hold of you.
So I think the market's going to continue to remain strong. I think that property, again, like I said, new listings are still continuing to come on. Things are still going in escrow. I would say, we did see a kind of a pause in early middle March when all of this was starting to ramp up, where people were kind of, taking a step back and waiting and see. But now we're starting to see escrows open, regularly. People, the real estate community in general, I find it has a really great ability to pivot quickly. Yes. So we're seeing stuff with virtual tours have ramped up, like these Zoom meetings. I swear, I went from doing 0 Zoom meetings a week to doing about 20. So,
I appreciate it. I called you today and he didn't know what I was asking him. And I said, are you zoomed out? And he said, oh yes. And I said, you have to do one more Zoom call today. And, 7 p.m., it's a little bit more relaxed atmosphere. But let me ask you, is your title company do they have digital notaries? I already know that you don't run down to the recorder's office anymore, right?
Oh yeah, no, the county recorder's office has been closed to the public but I mean, really, that's not how it even happens anyways. It always happens digitally. So mobile notaries, digital notaries, everything's on DocuSign. I mean, the real estate process has really been streamlined so well that it was really no change to doing it, basically not face to face, because most people were doing it not face to face anyways.
Yeah, but we realtors we're brainwashed a little bit about that. Get in front of the person, whoever is the first,
Oh yeah.
So, and I mean, I was kind of blessed. I dealt with investors which say, what are the numbers? That's the first question. And then, do I have to go out to the property? Can you take some pictures? So for me, it was not a big change, but I assume for the people that sell the countertops and the beautiful kitchen is probably a different, yeah. Are you personally working from home?
I am very fortunate. I do have I have an office. There's only a few people in there, and basically I just beeline it right into my office, shut the door, and kind of isolate myself in my office. But I do work from home too. I'm home right now.
Okay. All right. So
Nothing's
perfect.
changed.
Yeah. So which means the real estate industry is ready to keep working, right?
Yes.
And do you want to give us a tip or two or something else you observed in this whole last 2 months?
I mean, I would just say, I mean, the great thing about the San Diego market in general is it's just, it's not only a great place to live, but it's a tourist destination. So to me, San Diego market, San Diego real estate is always a sound investment. And that now, I mean, the other side of the coin is, I think there's going to be more deals to have, because there are people who are going to be in situations to where they have to sell, and that's going to create a situation where the investment opportunity will be there, just like the stock market right now. The stock market has gone down tremendously, so really if the smart money is on buying right now, right? So
yeah. So do you see the prices go down, stay the same, or go up?
again, it's really hard to say. I've seen it go down a little bit over the last month. I anticipate that it's going to hold steady, especially as long as interest rates stay super low.
Yeah. All right. Good. Now this is where we go into whatever I have as a next slide, which and thank you, Randy, for coming on the call. And
thank you. Appreciate it.
Title question. Anybody else has a question for Randy before we move on?
Yeah, I had a question. One of the things Randy said was about a tourist destination, and I don't know, is that a plus or a minus right now?
I would say that's always a plus, because that just increases demand.
You want me to answer this? I can answer.
Anyone? Yeah, I'm just
Yeah.
I keep hearing from different people, so I'm just trying to get a take from
Obviously, when it comes to job loss, it's pretty devastating, right? And also later on, I'll make a comment on the Airbnb housing. But what we have, which is good, we are in a drivable location. So people from wherever they come from Arizona, remember how people come here and spend the summer because it's too hot in Arizona. So Mahesh, wait, I just have the perfect slide for you.
Okay.
Later. So, and because this is when we could talk about how we're going to recover, but doesn't it make sense? People are not getting on the airplanes yet. Yeah. So.
I have a title question.
Yeah.
Randy, what percentage of escrows or title deals that your company does where you issue the policy come back with problems? Is it, is it 1%? Is it 5%?
What kind of problems are we referring to?
I just bought a small pool of non-performing seconds, and I'm in a note buying group, and there's some folks that bought other pools, and they're finding properties that closed and their second was never paid off. And so I don't know how they're going to go about, if they have a claim against the title company or what their recourse is, but I'm brand new to this note investing, and I'm just kind of curious, without derailing Lenska's meeting, I just had a quick question about that. So that's the problem I'm referring to.
Yeah, I would say that's a pretty big problem, and I would say it's in the single-digit percentile, even 1 or 2% that you ever come across an issue like that. Very, very minor. That's why I asked what kind of question, because if your question was, old, child support liens or other stuff that could, divorce encumbrances, those kind of things come up all the time, and they're easily managed, just because usually it just means you have to update your paperwork. But stuff like that where they closed the deal and they didn't pay off a loan, I've heard about it happening, but I've never come across it on any transactions I've been a part of.
And it's probably, are you talking about notes in the Midwest where they have an attorney state rather than an escrow? And because the attorney,
I don't know if it's a judicial state or a non-judicial state, Lenska. I know a couple of folks.
That has something to do with the foreclosures. No, when I say an attorney, the attorneys do the title searches. So the attorneys sometimes they don't have, it's not separated from a title company sometimes. And I just found it that in the Midwest, the title search is not as good.
I see. Okay. Well, thank you for answering my question.
Perfect.
Thank you.
All right. So we are here with the real estate update. And remember, I don't have the crystal ball, and if I had one, it would be pretty foggy right now. So we're always looking at the current conditions, and is it a good time to invest in real estate? So this is just what's going on. These are the daily stats about new listings, about how many sold, and how many went pending. So look at that banner day on Friday, last Friday. I thought, oh yes, we're kicking butt again. And so we had 363 new listings. But again, today we were down to a regular, I call it the 100 new listing day, okay? So still we're pretty much, here are the good news. So April key statistics were pretty positive. Median household, median home price held at 600,000. The detached at 680, the attached at 437, which is still up year over year, but it was down from last month. The houses are flying off the market, and it takes 23 days. Obviously, we're down in pending sales. We'll see later because we have half of the inventory. Sold listings followed the pending listings, which are 32%, which in March, they were pretty much level to last year. So that told us that all the closings we had in March practically were from the strong January, February months. So overall, no concern here. And also just to mention that the average percent of original price to closed price was up 1.5%, and it's close to 100. We had a great virtual field trip on Saturday, and we looked at that zip code in El Cajon, and one of the El Cajon zip codes actually had multiple offers still and closed over 100% on to list price. So, we're very blessed in San Diego, and here we go. I just put that number in May for, so we're looking at the solds week by week, because obviously at first everybody panicked, right? And said, oh my God, everything comes to a stop and nobody goes to work. So we had list price, these are the units sold. So yes, 325 in the first week of May. That usually is triple that, okay? But what is selling? Like a lot of the gurus always say, you can't go wrong with a 3-bedroom, 2-bath, and it's the lot square footage is 9,000. That's not that interesting, but it is pretty consistent. And we have days on market. Look at this days on market, 9 days, 9 days, 11, 10, 9. there's no slowing down, okay? So now we come to the list price and we come to the sales price, okay? So not a huge difference. It went 625, 626, we got at 638, so that was still the closing from March, or went into contract in March. So then we dropped a little bit, 615, but there is resistance at 615. So overall, we're looking good. So just to make it a little bit more easier to still see that we're doing good, but considering where we are in the crisis, right? When you're going to look at what April 2019, how many listings we had, new listings in April, about not new listings, that should be actually active listings, that should say, probably 4,600, and we're down now to 2,600 in April, okay? So, but look, we're still a little bit more up than we were in March. So here's what I heard, that people that don't have to sell took their properties off the market or waiting. So that's why I've been looking at the new listings on a weekly basis, because I thought, okay, when do they think it's safe to sell or it's good to sell? Obviously for the investors, not so good. Low inventory. You can see in 2019, we had 475 cash sales. That is less than half, that's 40% now, 222 only in cash sales. So it looks like we're still waiting for the deals. So also we're obviously saying it's all about who moves here and who are the buyers? Who do we have who are buying, right? And do we have more migration into California out? So a few months ago, this is what United Van Line says. So if you look at these, why people move out, right? So it's all about jobs, okay? So coming back to my hash point, or to the, obviously people that retire, they can't afford to be here. Family is always a big thing, that because it's connected to the retirement, that people rather want to be close to their grandchildren. And lifestyle, you know, you will see later that Idaho has a huge migration towards Idaho. And obviously jobs. So who do we have moving in and out of California? We have long-time residents are priced out, and here we go back to the hospitality and restaurant business. I mean, who can afford the rent here if you're making, you know, $12 or $8 plus tip, okay? But what we do have a lot of college-educated people that make more than 150,000 moving in, and also younger. So these are the only people that actually can move here. And because I hope Leo is on the call finally, and today I wanted to do why millennials are not saving the real estate market, but I thought I'd give Leo a break and do it next time. But just so we know that millennials are still not participating in the home purchasing event, because several reasons, which I'm going to have a different slideshow on it. But see here, in general, home ownership, this is all homeowner. By the way, home ownership in San Diego is close to 50%. Okay? So San Diego is always a little bit behind. And that is just a quick look how millennials think about, is it a good time to buy or not? Okay, so, and remember, the millennials are not the ones that like, you know, standards and structures. They rather go for the experience. And also when they rent apartments, they always go for the, all two. They go for all the amenities they have, like, you know, a hangout room, virtual workouts and all that stuff. So here we are. Poll 2 is, Now, after you heard all this, right, that all good news, so do you think real estate prices will go up, go down, or more less than 20%, or stay the same? So here we go. Vote your little hearts out. All right, I changed, no, I didn't change too many opinions. Come on, we'll always have one person that says goes up, okay? And I haven't given you the bad news yet, okay? So, all right, go down less than 20% is the consensus. All right, I probably agree with that. And like I mentioned today, it all depends, okay? Because here are the recap of the headlines. Great Depression level unemployment. There is a real economy, there's a stock market, and then there are the 4 biggest companies in the stock market. So somebody sent that to me today, this little graph, stocks versus grandmas. I thought it had something, even so I think this is really a toss-up for a lot of people, and that's where the country is divided again. But practically this week was all about reopening the economy, right? We talk about unemployment, forbearance, stock market, supply chain. The blame game for the crisis is starting, and funding cut for who? So I don't know if you're all tuned into that we finally, or the consensus in the world is that, and here it is. This is the slide I would have done instead of the grandmas. As we can see, everybody has their point of view. And if you have a good, healthy immune system, you might be, and you work at home, you better keep working instead of, staying at home. Okay. So I was actually investigating today, what is the unemployment rate in Germany? And I have to tell you, the unemployment rate in Germany is like under 6%. Now I start speaking German with you. So I have not found out why that is, okay? But this is obviously, Germany has a much better social system. They also do have vacation and paternity and maternity leave, and probably some more flex time to maybe make up with that. But this is what the American households are look like.
Yeah.
All right, so more than 6 months of reserves, less than 2 weeks, about 1 month, about 2 months, okay? So we always said the most Americans can cover a major expense or a car expense. And it seems like maybe it has something to do. Now, with all the job losses, this just came through 2 hours before the meeting, okay? So, which means dive into it. The gray one is just the last week. So the total number of forbearances increased, okay? So the dark blue on the left to right is each week, okay? And depository institution are the GSE, the government-backed mortgages, and these are from Ginnie Mae, so they're not backed by. But since the Fed is buying up everything from corporate debt to mortgages to now next week, they will be buying up ETFs. So we saw 10 million lost their job during the entire recession of 2007 and 8, okay? 12% unemployment. The unemployment reached 25% during the Great Depression. Are you ready for the bad news? Oh, you see that didn't change. All right, I had a little issue with saving changes, so I made some changes, but that is San Diego, 25% in April from 4.1 in March. And that is, it's not me who says that, Sandak said that, and that came out. So the hardest hit areas, look at it, Logan Heights, National City College area, San Isidro, and Golden Hill. And this is where all our service, restaurant people live. And these are mainly rental area. National City, I think, has 70% non-owner occupied. Okay. College area, we know, that's the university. Okay. All right, so you see, actually I did make a slide. Here it is. It's even in German. Finally, my mom will understand one slide I have been doing. But she always asks me, what do you do all day? And I said to her, yeah, I'm reading a lot and I'm investigating, because if you have been through a crisis like I have through the last 2007 and 8, you don't want to go through one again. Or if you have to go through one, you want to position yourself so you can make the best out of the next crisis, right? So here it is, 5.4%. So it was much higher in 2005. So this will be to be continued. Obviously, all this is creating a lot of angst, or angst, how we say it. It's spelled A-N-G-S-T, and that's the fear factor. Okay, so the fear factor says today the index shows that people are twice as nervous as they were after 9/11, which surprised me. It's also worth noting that the index was near all-time highs before the COVID-19 crisis. You see, we started, but you see how it already spiked up. And remember what I always said, the economy was already on shaky grounds. I shouldn't say the economy, Main Street. So today I found that one, and I tried to copy the person that did that slide. But the good news is we always find new things and make new inventions. So just read that last one here from Steve Ballmer, CEO Microsoft. There's no chance the iPhone's going to get significant market share. No chance. So we're at a perfect spot right now where we're going to reprice, rethink, retool, and reorganize business. So there will be winners and losers for sure. The losers are going to be the one with the weaker balance sheets, and unfortunately it's going to be taken out on Main Street, because the Fed's behavior will push the asset bubbles, which could also mean real estate higher. So I have a poll 4, and I'm not sure what it is, but, oh, yeah. I didn't want to do that yet. Let's do it should be poll 4, okay. Will you attend large group above 50 live meetings again? Yes, no, or you prefer Zoom or webinars? And we're at the good spot today. So some of the, we're not allowed to do 50 group meetings yet, but once it's not against Governor Newsom orders, let's see how Elon Musk is doing today, because he said he's going to open up his plant regardless. And he said he's opening it up, and come and arrest me. So it looks like we're all ready to get out of the house, right? All right, so I assume you guys are all missing the networking, I assume. I hope you're still there, because now comes the good news, because a slight good news. So a little bit of recovery, how they measure and I could not find any numbers for San Diego Airport, but in that week from the 29th to the 30th, the number of people the agency screened in the US rose by 35,000, or 30% to 154,000. That's still 2.3 million below where we were a year earlier. And I think today in the news it was that Southwest is doing okay. They're trying to save some cash and recover. So when flights continue, they're still in business. But in Germany, for example, Lufthansa does not like that the government takes a 25% stake for in their business. But
And I always liked this one.
I gotta hopefully, yeah, quiet this one. So this is just to say wages falling, but that just shows you the corporate profits versus wages and salaries. Now, at first I had that in my market updates, but what it shows me now is that Wall Street doesn't need people. Okay, and that is kind of a little bit bad news.
Let's see how in tune you are with the real estate market.
That was...
It does not.
I ruined it. All right, so that was my slide in October, my market update, October 2018, where I had these, because we see it was October because we're talking about eggnog and people with the flu and New Year's resolution. But you guys were supposed to guess what does this chart show? And
it does not.
All the bubble.
What could bring?
Oh, I accidentally copied the recorded versions. So we see remember Bitcoin? Bitcoin is coming back a little bit, but these are all the bubbles, okay? But since the last crisis, I think we have learned that the Fed can print so much money and does so much QE that they're able to clean up a bubble. So the bubble grows, the bubble bursts, and the bubble gets cleaned up without any consequences. So how far can we?
What could bring that?
Right.
So
this is a rundown of to have or not to have debt. This is the question, because each of all these recessions were created by debt. Let's just not go through all of them, just maybe the Great Depression, which had government debt and personal debt. And this is, I didn't change that, okay? And it's recorded from October. I said recession early 1920s, right? But what creates that recession? So now we know it's probably going to be consumer and corporate debt. Government debt, I put there, but I'm not so convinced anymore that it is, because if you look at the private and public debt as percentage of the GDP. So for you newbies, I know we had a couple of newbies. This is kind of an economics crash course for you. But let me tell you, it's very interesting once you understand it, okay? So we have the United States does not have, and unfortunately this is too bad, but can you guys see the upper black line? This is Japan's percentage of GDP, right? Canada is the red line here, and Australia, I believe, is the purple line. So China is right here. So the US is still the best horse in the glue factory. So even if we printed all this money up right now, our GDP, our debt to GDP is doable. And remember, it's not the heights of the debt we have, because what do you look at when you have your credit card or your mortgage payment? That's a perfect example. You don't go, oh my God, that house is $650,000. You go, can I afford the payment? And that's exactly what the Fed is saying. The Fed is saying, can we pay all that interest? Yeah, and to pay the interest is no problem at the moment, okay? So, and here's to my point about the consumer credit, and we're at a record level. So guess what? People already tried to take their toilet paper back to Costco. So all that hoarding, and they've put it on their credit card, I can guarantee you they want a credit because now they have to pay their credit card. So look at that student debt loan. and back to the millennials, right? So this is what's holding us back. Last call, I would advise you to listen to the Zoom call, because we really dissected why this market is not turning into foreclosures, at least not until the end of next year, right? So because we have all these forbearance programs. So that I thought was odd, and I want you guys' input on it. 70% of laid off or furloughed workers expect to be rehired by their previous employer once they stay-at-home orders are lifted. Okay, unmute yourself and let me know if you think this is a valid number.
No.
And we need some more explanations. No,
Well,
not good enough on this call.
I mean, if you just pay attention to certain businesses that are shutting down permanently, you know, we just had regular ones that are local, like Soup Plantation, shut down. We just had an airline today file bankruptcy. So whether or not they'll continue through it or whether they'll just sell off is yet to be seen. So when we have these companies, in, you know, like Macy's, that employs a lot of people, are closing almost all of their stores. So we are yet to see truly how many people are truly going to come back.
Yeah, and I've found that very odd, because, but that was probably done, that survey, they said the source was April 28th through May 4th. So maybe people want to believe that they're being rehired, because look at that, some large employers,
Yeah.
Nordstrom and MGM, and I think today the movie chain AMC, they're in trouble. Macy's might have a new, was it Macy's or JCPenney? I think it was JCPenney.
Well, we got J. Crew that closed. We've got Neiman Marcus closing. We've got Macy's closing almost all the stores. I mean, we have all these big retailers that are folding. So we really don't know the true outcome, and we won't see it for months.
Exactly.
I got just one data point. My neighbor is head of sales for Toyota of Escondido, which is a huge Toyota dealership. And he was furloughed, and he went back to work a couple of days ago. And I was walking the dogs this morning and saw his wife out the front, and I asked her how it was going, and she said he says it's like nothing ever happened. The place is mobbed. People are buying cars. It's nuts. So I thought that was an interesting data point. That's all.
Yeah, that is very interesting, because remember, like 3 weeks ago, I had that slide about the car dealers, or the car sales dropped off a cliff. Even so, you said Toyota?
Yeah, Toyota of Escondido.
Yeah, so Toyota's actually, the guy was interviewed by Bloomberg today, and he said the pickup trucks are the ones that are selling the best. So,
well, they came out with that program with 6 months of no payments. I mean,
yeah.
That'll bring a lot of people out of the woodwork to go buy a vehicle.
Yeah, yeah. And I mean, we still have not had any numbers for the PUA, for the pandemic unemployment assistance for the gig workers. I saw something coming through, but I was too late to listen to it. Okay, so I thought that was, but here's some other good news. The rent collection, even so, I'm not quite sure if this is also true, because they might have lowered the rents already, and therefore the rent collections coming in better than in May than they were coming in April. Is that right?
Yeah, 2020's May's better than April.
Yeah. So yeah, but remember the $1,200 checks are going out, and people maybe think they're being rehired because they're on that high, because they're making more money sitting on the couch eating chips because they're getting the $600 per week for unemployment from the federal government, plus they get the unemployment from the state, which is, I think, $167 minimum. So could you live off, you know, $3,000? Some people are making more money right now, okay? So we want to make sure, these are just a few little notes that banks have tightened the credit standards. They don't do cash out loans, even so they're saying they do, but they will find a convenient reason, or the interest rates are going to be higher. They already, credit card delinquencies shot up. So remember in the last crisis, we were wondering, so what are people paying? Are they paying their credit cards? Are they paying their mortgages? So once they figured out they can live in their house 3 years for free, they started paying their credit cards, but did not pay their mortgage. So I assume each crisis will have a different way of playing out. So we have, and remember, we can't have any bankruptcy numbers yet because all the courts are closed. So there are certain things that we don't do business as normal. So all the data collection is probably a little bit off, okay? Want to skip that one because I want to give you some other good news. Best performing states by CoreLogic. And look, nationally, the year-over-year home price changed by 4.5%. No states posted an annual decline in home prices in March 2020. The states with the highest increases year-over-year were in Idaho, Arizona, and New Mexico. Okay, so, but San Diego made the list of best performing metros, and I assume Washington we have is doing pretty good, and obviously Los Angeles. Los Angeles is on fire. Remember, Los Angeles passed San Diego in the median home price a few months ago. Okay, so also Realty Track, which is a subdivision of CoreLogic, identifies San Bernardino and Los Angeles County not overvalued.
Wow.
And remember, we talk about the median home price, but if you adjust it for inflation, we're still, you know, we're still not above the peak in 2007 or 8. So here's the good news. March 2020, the savings rate doubled. And here was where my poll was supposed to come in. Are you saving? So the poll says, stop sharing results on that one. I want to see how you're saving. Are you currently saving more, less, or not able to save? And 3 or 4 of you were landlords or did fix and flip, so you definitely need to save some money. And while you guys do the poll about the saving rate. So I want to have your input, because normally people say, hey, if you're saving, you're taking that money out of the economy. And remember how the economy is 70% GDP is consumer spending by Americans. So if they're saving and not spending, do you think, all right, more and less? Well, we got a tie here. So if I could have voted, I vote more. Okay.
No change.
More or less, not able. Yeah, okay. I should have said yeah, the same. All right. Nobody is perfect. Okay. And my mom will tell you that from yesterday. So I assume things depend on the length of the stay of the at home, or I mean, we're already out, but just because a government orders us, okay, now you can go back to business, will people go back? Will people sit at a restaurant? Will people get on an airplane, right? And we have to wait what the forbearance play is going to be. There could be more, and the Fed is buying up more debt, okay? But are they able to save everybody? As we can see, the money is all going towards Wall Street and not so much Main Street. Main Street got at least a little bit more this time than in the last crisis, yeah. But we definitely see that renters are hit by more jobless claims, and we need to know how many homes got purchased towards the end of the cycle, combined with the job loss and combined with a 3.5% down payment. Because if we think the prices go down 20%, then all these FHA loans are going to be in trouble, right? Oh, and indeed, it did not save my, all right, so it did not save my new changes, which is interesting. Okay, I think I have to get it to the last slide. Yeah, I'm not sure if I showed you all what I wanted to show you, but I think I did. And so now we can open it for discussions. I think, Mahesh, remember you asked me about the tourism, and I said, were you on
and
the
Airbnb too? You said you were gonna say something about that.
Yeah. Were you on the call where we said about, and I had that slide in there, and I know I put it in there. I had the slide in there where tourism is San Diego's second income source. And so that's why we have 25% unemployment. But remember, this is civilian unemployment that does not count for our military. And our military is our first employer.
Yep.
So we're really in a yin and yang situation here with San Diego. We have the strong military, but then next thing is tourism. So Airbnb got under criticism from a lot of their from their owners, because, you know, they made up that rule about returning all the deposits and all the down payments for vacations, to return them back to the vacationer. So they didn't like that. And obviously now having 2 months or 3 months no income, when a lot of the landlords did their cash flow on the basis of having the vacation rental income. So they say that a lot of them will lose their house or have to sell it. And so you can see in San Diego that I asked a couple of property management companies, so they're getting about 6 to 8 houses per week that people say they want to permanently rent it. Does that answer your question?
So the Airbnbs are turning into long-term rentals. That
if the cash, yeah. And maybe, you know, and some of them have been turned into the frontline workers. So that was the only exception that they said they would do, to rent it to, you know, short term towards the frontline workers. For example, I think Aaron Norris said that in Riverside, yeah, they were prohibited, the short-term rentals, except also for frontline workers. So, but all this is, you know, remember, real estate does not crash overnight. So all this is going to play out. And depending on the American consumer and how they're spending their money, this is the economy we're going to have. But I think a lot of good changes are going to come out of it. We uncovered that our health system is in dire need of overhauling. That is the reason why Germany did so well, because they have added like 10,000 ICU beds, and very early on they said everybody that doesn't need to have an operation, stay home. And they have a lot of, like we have the ER here, but the doctors have bigger practices, so they were taught early on before they had to go in the ICUs. Okay, and so there are a couple of differences in, you know, from country to country, but it still shocks me that Germany does not have the unemployment than the United States. So I have to dig into it because everybody shut down there. Small businesses, so maybe in Germany we have less small business, there are less gig workers. You know, there could be various reasons. So that was my update for this week. Anybody, did you guys hear anything else? Anybody? Sold a house, bought a house? No? Worked on a house? Come on, Leo.
I haven't seen anything new change either way, better or worse in the past week, even actually 2, really.
Yeah, okay. Yeah, and I think that week, and that's why I said this is, you know, I'll continue on in June with this, because I think right now it's really see how the reopening is doing, right? Look at the airlines. So the airlines said that actually people were complaining how close they sit together. So everybody will have some kind of a restriction on how many people can enter the store, how many can sit in an airplane. So it's all very cumbersome. And the question becomes, do you want to, you know, be part of it, or decide, hey, that I'm going to get in my car and drive to, you know, and Disneyland. Actually, the tickets in Disneyland, the one they open up in Asia, in Japan, or wherever their Disneyland is.
Singapore,
the tickets sold out within minutes. So that's kind of a good sign, right? But the Chinese is, you know, is not the same consumer than the American consumer.
Yeah, but their ticket sales were, as far as unit count, was 50% less than their normal ticket count should be.
Yeah, I know. And I think if Disneyland, I think they said 30% occupancy to the park. I am going because maybe Flying to Magic Mountain is finally not 3 hours wait. It's only an hour and a half or an hour. Yeah. But I think nobody really knows. None of the economists said, you know, they have a model or anything of their models. You can plug those numbers in. Can we look back into history with unemployment? One note to that, since I did invest in Mississippi and they went through the Hurricane Katrina, the unemployment shot up tremendously, but then it also came right back down and people got their jobs back. And you could say, I mean, I know how devastated it was. There was no store. They were just closed due to, you know, destruction. So there could be still that people are being rehired, right? So let's hope for that, and you know, just get ready. I always say we should be doing a few things as investors to educate ourselves, or even start a new business or a new branch of our investments. Maybe Bill Tan is on the call. I see him. Maybe, you know, invest in some notes or learn. Peter, have you made any money yet on your notes? Are you negotiating with your seconds to make your payments?
I had to unmute.
Yeah.
It's pretty hard right now because you know, foreclosure, you need to threaten foreclosure to get some of these folks to the table. They're paying on their first, but they haven't paid on their second. and they've frozen foreclosure actions in a bunch of states. So we're kind of just parked on the siding until things open up a little bit.
Yeah, now I think I always want to say that some SDCIA, so if you're not a member of SDCIA, they have a great webinar tomorrow. Bill Cook, who will teach about structuring deals during the crisis. And Peter, you should be listening to, I think he might give you a couple of good tips how, you know, it's all about negotiations, right? And coming up with a payment plan rather than going the foreclosure, because that could take months, right? So also one thing
they won't even return your calls. You can't even negotiate with somebody who's hiding under their desk. So
because they know you can't foreclose on them.
yeah, so you could be Bill Cook squared, and if they won't answer your letters or take your calls, so that's why you file.
Yeah.
Yeah, but you can't file according to what we've been directed to do. We can't file until 90 days after all this is lifted.
Well, that's true. Yes, in California, I think you're correct.
Yes.
Yeah. So each state is different. But also there was another interesting note today that the RV sales were actually not up, but what they noticed is that all the RV purchases were not trade-ins, they were actually new purchases. So I don't know if people plan on losing the house and moving into their RV, or does it mean, hey, we're going to take a time out and use that crisis to just maybe travel. So this crisis will create, you know, some new consumer behaviors. Also, if you bought a Peloton bike for $2,000, are you going to go back to the old sweaty gym? And, you know, or are you going to stay at home? And especially with the traffic, do you rather spend 20 minutes on your $2,000 Peloton bike instead of, you know, sitting 20 minutes in the traffic? So I think the whole online workout fitness schedule is also probably pretty good. But
maybe the new RV owners do not want to stay in a hotel anymore.
And also, thank you. Yeah, very, very well. So I rather touch my own doorknobs than, you know, everybody else's. So and that's true. And nowadays with those fancy RVs, I mean, you know, yeah, who wants to stay? And, you know, speaking about not staying at a hotel, will they stay in an Airbnb? Yeah, so that is the big question. So we will, since it's still summertime, we'll find out if Pacific Beach will be buzzing with college kids, and you know, and the party goes on. So anybody else has a question? Aldo, are you the newbie a little bit? Was that all over your head, or was it to follow? And are you going to buy a house this year or next year?
Well, no, I've been not in California. I've actually been active in Florida. And,
oh, you're in Florida.
Yeah, well, I live in San Diego, but I buy my I flipped quite a few properties here in Southern California, but since like last year, I've been shifting my business to Florida, and thankfully I did.
Yes.
You know, because things are still like, you know, going well for me over there. Tenants are paying their rents, but my overhead's a lot less too. But I guess, like, I do have a question as far as, you know, the unemployment rate here in San Diego, seeing that it's at 25%. Do you see as things start to open up a little bit more, do you see that number improving? And, you know, do you see that number improving at all?
Now, this is where they had the graph that 75% were thinking that they will get their old job back, and which I thought was pretty high compared to, and I can call it.
Actually will happen, yeah.
Yeah. So that was it. Almost 8 in 10 laid off workers say it's likely they will be rehired by their former employer.
Yeah.
So, for example, I volunteer at the YMCA, and I teach some classes there. And I talked to the fitness director last week, actually, and she said that 70% have canceled their membership.
Wow.
So, but the YMCA had a lot of seniors, so I can understand that the seniors, who is a high risk group, and since they put that fear in us that this virus is going to have a relapse and will be with us until the end of the year. So that is why this crisis is not just an unemployment crisis. It practically hinges on that medical miracle to find a vaccine or find a cure. And don't get me started on vaccines. We will be here for another hour. I assume Bill Gates is not making enough money with Microsoft, so he has to create vaccines, which, so, and there's different opinions about vaccines as well. But, so that's, personally, I don't think so that 8 in 10 will get their jobs back. It's just not possible with all the closures. And we see, I was told if you go to the village fair in Carlsbad, which used to be a booming, buzzing retail restaurant place, they already took their merchandise out and actually took out the chairs and tables. So they won't open. So I think the Chamber of Commerce said that 20% of the small businesses shut down, and the 40% only have 2 weeks of savings. So that was another. So everybody has a little different numbers, but the unemployment that filed for it, just remember, these are the people that filed for unemployment, the 33.5% as of last Friday. That does not include the gig workers, the part-timers, the real estate agents that are, used to go 1 or 2 months without a commission check. But will this hit the real estate professionals? And I'm not sure I think Randy is not on the call anymore, but the volume is just down, and the transaction per agent is down.
Yeah, the volume alone a lot of agents will execute due to lack of volume.
Yeah. So
I had a question about what do you think about just in general, if there's going to be a change in the type of house that people would prefer to buy going ahead as a consequence of this crisis. I was on a call today. They were talking about Rancho Santa Fe coming back into being more desirable because it gives you the option to have some entertainment in your house. But I don't know what other people feel about if there's going to be any long-term changes in the type of house that people prefer.
Yeah. Now remember, Mahesh, I'm actually counting on it. I'm counting on a lot of divorces after this crisis, living together 2 weeks with your 4 kids and husband.
2 weeks, 2 months.
2 months, 2 months. So hopefully they, if they get a divorce and they need a house, don't forget I'm a realtor. And also people will change. That's what I feel like. You might have not realized that your house is too small, and this is now an ongoing thing, or your employer allows you now to work from home, and maybe you kept your job, and so you want to have that office with that house with the office, and suddenly maybe an open floor plan is not that desirable anymore. So 4 bedrooms maybe. Same with the workout, if you're working out from home. So I have seen a couple of houses whether they have it in the garage or they're actually on the larger homes, Rancho Santa Fe, they all have a gym in their house.
So are condos going to be less desirable then?
They're already less desirable because of the closeness people live. And that's why you've seen the price decline in condos. So the detached held their value month over month, but the condos were down. I think they were up. The Heights was 457, and I think we just now it was at 450, 430. So yeah. But then we talk about affordability, right?
Yeah.
That's got another question. What do you think is going to happen to the developers that began building these massive multi-units prior to using projections based on prior to COVID-19? What do you think is going to happen to those?
Yeah, so there is already, there were some rent studies, I just saw it today, come through that in LA, rents were already going, pointing downwards, let's put it this way. But what they also saw is that renters obviously didn't move. So right now the retention rate is pretty good because nobody wants to move. Yeah, but I know you are in Florida, it's a different number. Here, our cap rate is about 4% and it's -1 in Coronado. You know, and people buy here anyways more for appreciation. And remember, to build is per square foot is still less than what you would buy a building for an apartment. It doesn't matter actually if it's a house or apartment. So they have to adjust. But some of these companies, they're Wall Street backed that are building these big apartments. So I don't think they will be in trouble. I think the small mom and pop will be in trouble that does not have a Fannie and Freddie backed mortgage, and they cannot ask for forbearance because also multifamily owners can ask for forbearance. Okay, but look, I mean, everybody collected their rent supposedly.
Yeah.
Okay, thank you.
Yeah. So, but to the builders that started, you know, started subdivisions, or I mean, builders that are in the middle of them, it could happen that the banks pull the financing. That's what happened in the last crisis, right? All construction loan, everything came to a halt. So then they have to go, hopefully, to private money, and depending on how the stock market works, so maybe they will have, I mean, I heard Warren Buffett has a lot of cash sitting on the sideline. He just dumped all his airline stocks and waiting for a good opportunity. So, and since he is a real estate person, remember, he has not dumped Berkshire Hathaway. So that tells you we're in the right business, people.
You've got a question from Bill Tan asking in the chat box.
Yeah.
What do you think about the government bailing out developers?
No, I don't. So, I mean, if I say no, that doesn't mean because, remember, even 4 weeks ago, I said, oh my God, the Fed is bailing out Wall Street, but I was sure the corporate debt would do us in. And so they're buying corporate debts, they're buying ETFs. They said they would even buy probably stocks. So maybe they're buying, they're bailing out the developers or restructuring the debt. I mean, I found out by reading a lot of these things, they have all these fancy terms for practically buying the debt. And it just amazes me that once people's minds, psyche switches to the dollar is a fiat currency, but then don't forget, we still have the biggest army in the world. So we're pretty good. And are we a trade war and are we this and that? Yes, but you know, the developers, I don't think the developers are really in trouble yet.
Well, no one's mothballed any big projects. I mean, everybody's moving forward with their projects.
Yeah, and it's only about financing, and the Fed is doing anything to keep the liquidity going. I mean, commercial real estate, if you're a commercial developer and you're building an office complex, you better go back to your architect and rezone it, redesign it for warehouse. By the way,
Condos. Condos.
Yeah. So that will be that will be the next thing to really research. Are the malls and the retail locations, are they going to be repurposed? Remember last call I said to you guys that Bezos is buying up retail locations. Actually, that was an Amazon, and they wanted to make a bid on the AMC movie chain. So there's some real interesting, business takeovers going on. So obviously some people, if you have enough cash, and as we said, cash is king, so is content. And I appreciate you guys listening, and I will miss you the next 2 Mondays, but I promise I will do another slide presentation. And please send me if you see a funny cartoon or a good stat that you think it's worthwhile sharing with the group, please. And don't forget to put me on your speed dial if you need any real estate representation, buying or selling, or you might need an opinion on one of your properties. So with this one said, I have one more presentation for SDCIA to do tomorrow, and then it's happy birthday for the rest of the week. I'm actually going to take a few days off.
Where are you going to
go? Where am I going? I'm going in my pool. You know,
you'll still be working.
Huh?
You'll still be working then.
No,
yeah.
No, I'm sure. Try calling me. If I pick up, I'll pay you $1,000, Leo. Yeah, usually I am going skiing all the years. This will be the first year in 10 years that I will be home. But guess who is the biggest winner of this entire crisis?
The biggest winner?
Yeah, it is my mom, because I'm home all the time.
Ah, there you go.
Yeah, and she is listening too. So yeah, but if I would or could, I would be going skiing. But even look at me, I dialed down. I didn't buy a ski pass for the next season, because I don't.
Wow.
Yeah. Because I don't know if if it's all good, then I can afford a big, ski vacation. And if it gets worse, and we see some tightening and this and that, and I maybe find a good real estate deal someplace else. That's why I bought real estate in Utah, because I always thought skiing vacations are good. So good. Thank you for reminding me about the chat. And yes, skiing. Yes. All right. Everybody stay safe, strong, and sane, and have a happy Memorial Day, I assume.
Well,
Okay,
spend
thanks,
money.
Lenska.
Yes. Thank you for listening. Take care, everybody.
Bye.
Bye.
Bye.